Am I the asshole for refusing to split the cost of my parents' care with my siblings? I, 29 male, have 2 siblings. My sister Lucy, 28 female, and brother Joe, 26 male. We had very different parents growing up. I went no contact over a decade ago with them, while my brother and sister have the best of memories with them. My parents took better care of them, cared more about their well-being, fought for them. I always came last. I was the first to need glasses as a kid, but the last to get them because they delayed it, then prioritized my siblings getting them. By the time my turn came around, they had spent so much that I had to go for the cheapest pair that didn't really fit me. When I was a teenager, I developed a cyst. It caused me some pain, and surgery was advised to get it removed. But because it wasn't an essential surgery, my parents said it could wait until it needed to be removed, or until I was old enough to pay for it myself. They left me dealing with daily pain because they didn't consider it worth the money. I tried begging my parents, but they told me they didn't want to pay for unnecessary surgery. I told them it would improve my life being pain-free, and they said I was living just fine. They sat my siblings down for college talks before they entered high school. They never had those talks with me. They didn't even mention it when I would come home with stuff from school about college options. There was never any effort from my parents to contact me when I went no contact. I did lose touch with my siblings for a couple of years. We had a very strained relationship for about 2 years after contact was made when Joe moved out at 19. And we went from very strained to regular strained. They don't understand my experience with our parents, and they dislike that I told them we had different parents, even with the same people as parents. Both parents are now sick and require care. Mom is a little worse than dad at the moment, but per Lucy that changes depending on how they're doing. They are looking at nursing facilities where they will get the best care, and they are expensive. So my siblings want to split the cost 3 ways. I told them I would not pay for our parents' care. They told me I have to, and surely I owe them this much. I told them the only care I would ever pay for is the kind where they get treated the same as they treated me. They told me not to be spiteful, and as the oldest, I should be thinking of it as helping them as well. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. That's so difficult, and I came to this post thinking you should pay your fair share. However, it sounds like you were treated differently, specifically, and so I totally understand why you would not. And the fact that you went no contact is very specific and telling, so that as hard as this is, I understand. You may want to get a lawyer to get advice on how to protect yourself so that you don't get any bills. And also, you may want to talk with the lawyer about being very careful what you say because you may or may not have been cut out of the will. But if your share is still in the will, there is no reason for you to need to lose that. You don't need to accidentally go overboard and make any statement suggesting that you give up yours. So be careful what you say to your siblings. I think you should pay the $200 or so to consult with an elder attorney. There are more questions here, such as, why isn't your parents' home being sold to pay for their care? Why aren't their assets being sold to pay for their care? What if the cost of care, which in the U.S. can easily be from $5,000 2017 adult care home to $11,000 or more for nursing home rates 2017 per month? So let's say your parents need $22 per month spent on them. So let's say that they pass away after 1 year on the same day, and now the will is read and everything, all their unsold assets go to the other 2 siblings. What if you've been cut out and you owe $264,000, 3 equals 800 Kelling? Meanwhile, your siblings cash in their assets and keep it. So on the other hand, if your parents' assets are sold correctly and accounted for, lawyer needs to help this process, an elder attorney will advise with details, then your parents may end up with not even a penny while still living. However, that's when maybe Medicare will kick in, if they do, and you won't owe the government. What if your parents live for 10 to 20 more years and need nursing care and adult group home care? Who can afford that? If it were $5,000 per month for an adult care home for one person in 2017, times 12, that's $60,000 per year. So I'm saying, spend the $250 or so and go see an elder care attorney and get the knowledge you need and protect yourself. Hope you and your parents can have forgiveness with each other before someone passes away. Surely I owe them this much. Now, you don't owe this to your siblings or your parents. Not the asshole. You're not required to pay for the care of your aging parents, even if you had a great relationship with them, let alone paying for the care of parents that you consciously chose to distance yourself from over a decade ago. If your siblings choose to foot that cost, good on them, but don't let them make you feel bad for having a valid boundary. Not the asshole. Time to tell the golden children to get Not the asshole. You went no contact. That includes not paying for things. Not the asshole. Time to go NC with your siblings if they continue to bug you over something you took a firm stance over. Am I the asshole for asking another customer to throw away their child's diaper? I 24M went out to dinner with my GF 23 female. The restaurant was above an Applebee's, but not a fancy restaurant. We were sitting across the aisle from a mid-30s couple with a baby, guessing 8 or 9 months based on my nephew. The aisle is not very big, probably enough for 2 people to squeeze by each other. While we were sitting there, the couple changed their baby at the table and left the diaper sitting at the end of their table closet to us. It sat there for probably about 15 mins, up until our food was served. I personally found this a bit disgusting, and it may have been in my head, but I felt like I could smell the diaper. That is why when our food came, I asked them if they could please throw it away. The guy at the other table said, "Why?" I responded with, "I find it gross to be eating in close proximity to human waste when there is a changing station and trash can in the bathroom." I checked, there are both. He told me to mind my own fucking business. After that, we quickly ate and left while they gave us dirty looks. My GF doesn't really think I am an AH, but thinks I should have left it alone. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. We have 3 kids, and I would never dream of changing my kid's diaper at the dinner table, for sanitation reasons, if nothing else. That alone makes it someone else's business. And I am concerned not only that they put your health at risk, I am also concerned that their server didn't at least dispose of it as quickly as they could. Not the asshole. You. That's repulsive. The diaper should have been changed in the bathroom. It's reasonable to want your dining area free of human waste. Not the asshole. They changed a diaper at a table where people eat. This is not only disgusting, but also a health code violation. The restaurant employees should have stopped them or told them to go to the restroom to use the changing table. The absolute lack of consideration of the parents is ridiculous. They left the diaper at the edge of the table. Did they think the waiter was going to take it? I would have thrown an absolute fit the second I saw them start changing the baby. Not the asshole. They should have been kicked out for changing a child on a table next to people who are eating. They should go into the bathroom for that. Am I the asshole for not inviting my friend to Disney because she cannot drive? I want to go to Disney, so I have planned to go down for a week. It is about a 10-hour drive, and it is already really expensive, so I decided the best option was to drive down instead of a plane. I invited 2 of my friends to join me. So 3 people in the car, the plane is to leave around 3 a.m., and we will get to the hotel in time to check in. Then spend the first day at Disney Springs. Due to it being a 10-hour drive, we are all going to drive 3.5 hours, so everyone has time to rest and take a nap in the back. We all agreed that everyone needs to drive. I have a friend I have known for a long time, and I mentioned the trip. She asked who I was going with, and I told her it is our mutual friend, and then someone she isn't close to. She then asked why I didn't invite her. I gave a polite answer of this was just planned for us to get closer. She kept pushing and asked seriously why she wasn't invited. I told her since she cannot drive, we are driving down, and we all agreed having someone not driving wouldn't work. That the road trip needs people to pull their weight and not just sit in the car. She got offended, and I asked what did she expect when she asked for why she wasn't invited. This resulted in an argument, and she called me a jerk. The reason why she doesn't drive is because she is afraid of it. She hasn't renewed her license since she got in years ago. Edit. I have not been invited to stuff she does with people I know also. She went on a trip last fall with 2 people I knew and wasn't invited. That is completely fine. I don't need to be invited to everything. Seriously, I don't have invite everyone to everything. None of my other friends asked why they weren't invited. They told me to have fun. You're the asshole. Look, it does come across mean girls to not invite someone you claim as a friend when you have an open seat anyway, just because they don't have a skill set the others have. The seat was empty. Was there really harm in asking the others if she could come and maybe she could pay extra gas money? I do think it was an AH move, and there was more to it deep down. This right here? I don't drive. I've never been excluded from trips by my friends just because I can't contribute to the driving. I contribute in other ways like paying for the gas and/or providing the car snacks. OP sounds like they just don't want this person on the trip and are using their lack of driving as an excuse. You're the asshole. There are other ways for her to contribute if she can't take a shift behind the wheel. Why tell somebody about a trip that you're not inviting them on? Do you not tell friends that you are going on vacation? Just because they weren't not invited doesn't mean I have to hide it like a dirty secret. She has gone on vacation without my before. I didn't ask why I wasn't invited. I told her to have fun. She probably asked because a mutual friend is invited, but she's not. That doesn't even make sense to me either. She isn't close with the other one. So she friends with the other person. It's a 3-person trip, and she doesn't know one well. I have never done this. Sometimes people you know hang out without you. It's fine. It happens. Am I the asshole for telling my boyfriend he will never be good enough for my dad? I have been with my boyfriend Chris for 2 years. Chris and I have very different backgrounds, and I'm glad for him that he comes from a relatively happy home. But his lack of understanding of how I grew up is really causing this problem. My dad has narcissistic personality disorder diagnosed. I have a pretty good relationship with him, all things considered, but that's because I have learned to set boundaries and to not take his opinions into account. So the fact that he doesn't like Chris really doesn't bother me. However, it bothers Chris. He met my dad about 9 months into the relationship and could sense that my dad didn't like him. My dad is always polite, but also not totally subtle about his dislike. And ever since he's been obsessed with getting his approval, he insists on orchestrating meetings with my dad, tries really hard to impress him, and when it inevitably fails, he gets depressed and upset and complains about how uncomfortable it is for him to see my dad, even though I've told him many times he doesn't have to. It's really started to annoy me, because his pandering takes me back to a time in my youth when I would do the same thing. Except Chris isn't even his child. So 2 nights ago, Chris came home very happy because he'd got a promotion at work. I congratulated him, and we were getting champagne out, and as I'm opening it, Chris said something to the effect of, "Now that I'm his new position, maybe your dad will like me as much as Nick, a friend of mine that my dad really likes." Now, he has since said he was joking, but I don't believe him. Something in me just snapped and I said, no, he won't. Nothing you do will make him like you. Nothing you do will ever be good enough. And if you want to drive yourself nuts over that, then you're not going to be good enough for me either. Chris says, I was an asshole for saying that he will never be good enough, and that I should understand that that bothers him. I feel like he should be concerned about what I think more than what my dad thinks, and it should bother him that his obsequious brown-nosing upsets me. I feel like he needed to be told point-blank that it was too much. I don't really want to go to my friends with this, because I don't want it to influence how they see him. The only person I've told about this is my friend Nick, who is refusing to have an opinion. Hence, me coming to the internet. So am I in the wrong? Depends how you phrased it. But if you phrased it like you wrote here, not good because you make it sound like Chris is falling short, not that dad is unpleasable by nature. You need to be super clear that Chris is just great, but dad will hate any man, however wonderful, because dad is an arse. I was leaning towards not the asshole until I got to the end. Yikes, you're the asshole. Not because you told him he'd never be good enough for your dad. It sounds accurate. But the way you said it, as well as throwing in the line about them then not being good enough for you. Not the asshole. I mean, yeah, you came off really harsh, but it may have been warranted. Assuming you've brought this up more subtly before, he clearly wasn't getting the message. I've lived with someone with NPD before, and the fact is, no, he won't be good enough. He never will be, not for your dad. But all that should matter is, he's good enough for you. The sooner he realizes that, the less energy he can waste on a fruitless effort trying to be the special one that earns your dad's love and respect against all odds. It's naive. His obsession with getting your dad's approval is childish, even if he didn't have NPD. I don't know how old you are, but this is the level of behavior a teenager would exhibit. Sure, it's great when in-laws like us and can be a bummer when they don't. But to make every action about earning their approval. How exhausting. No assholes here. I wonder if it is because of the comparison to Nick that is really bothering your boyfriend more than your dad, not particularly liking him. Which makes the dynamic of you running to Nick, even though you didn't want to tell your friends about this, potentially hurtful as well. Is it often told to your boyfriend how Nick is the only one good enough for you? Have you helped him, your boyfriend, understand that Nick wasn't good enough to be a boyfriend to you in your eyes? I hope he gets over the insecurities, but I also imagine that would be hard if it is frequently brought up. You didn't mention ages, so hard to judge how often dad should be an issue. Well, that's another episode of Am I the Asshole in the books? I really appreciate all of you who made it this far into the video. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, it would really help the channel out a lot if you gave the video a thumbs up, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.